Well, thank you guys so much for being patient as we get going. This is our first big workshop in our new facility. You guys like it? Yeah. So, we've been planning it and dreaming about it for quite a while, and it's fun to finally be in here. And then we're visualizing this right here, being able to have bigger workshops to be able to inform more people. So I'm excited to see all you guys. Many of you guys, of course, have known for many years. Some of you guys have met for the first time. Some of you haven't had a chance to meet yet. So just real quick on that, Dr. Jared Hill, the owner of Hill Family Chiropractic, been here in Branson for over 20 years now. We celebrated the 20-year anniversary. That's where you'll see some of the 20-year anniversary stuff. And I've been very blessed. We love Branson. I've got a beautiful wife and two boys. My oldest is in the University of Arkansas, and the youngest is 7th grade basketball right now. So, but anyway, we're very much involved with the community and love the Branson community. But this tonight, just to lay out what to expect, is our goal, or is for you to bulletproof your immune system. Raise your hands. How many want to bulletproof their immune system? Right? So almost everybody. There's a couple of you we'll work on. So, well, as you can see and know, you probably have loved ones and friends and family and everybody else that is getting sick. And hey, guys, come on in. And so this is a very much needed topic to be talking about, and making sure that you know all the steps necessary to fortify and strengthen your immune system. And so my goal is for you guys to really understand the steps and what's necessary. A lot of you guys are doing a lot of really good stuff and doing a lot of positive things for your health. But what I've found over the past 20 years is most people are doing a lot, but there's some specific holes or gaps or open doors is another thing I like to call, that can make you immune compromised. And that's what we want to make sure we discuss what each one of those are, so that way if there's one of them that goes, oh, I didn't realize that, it's going to be worthwhile being here this evening. And so the other thing is, by the time you get done, hopefully you're going to understand why it's so important as a chiropractor, why we check the spine and the nervous system and recommend that for every woman, man, child, baby, elderly person. It doesn't matter their age, because of how that relates to their immune system as well. So Blake put together those little packages, and they have like a gift certificate for you to be able to bless friends or family, coworkers of a special for New Year's starting up. But also those of you that made it tonight, if you haven't been checked before, you're going to have an offer and an opportunity to be able to get checked as well. And the last thing we want to make sure to do is have some fun giveaways. We've got some free stuff. So everybody likes free stuff, right? Some giveaways to make it a little more exciting that we put together for you. But the immune system is dear to my heart, and I'm really passionate about that because a few years ago, my sister, Jody, she passed away from cancer. So of course we know cancer has everything to do with your immune system, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And so I grew up with my dad and my brother and my uncle, chiropractors, and my sister went the medical route and did the chemo, the radiation, and a lot of things to try to help fight off her breast cancer, which then turned into bone cancer and spread throughout our body and so forth. And it was a painful process to watch that happening, and so it's really important for me to try to do everything we can as an office to try to inform all of you, to be able to some information that you can maybe protect yourselves or protect your kids or your family or loved ones and things like that. Is that for me? No. Okay. Oh yeah, I need a PowerPoint slide here. So let me grab this. So the first question, just to kind of dive right in here, is we all need to understand this question first and foremost, right? Is the human body, and when I ask a question, usually it means that I actually want you to answer. So sometimes they're rhetorical or whatever, which I may throw one of those in there, but most of the time, feedback is much appreciated. Try not to leave me hanging up here, okay? Is the human body a self-healing or self-regulating organism? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Man, yeah, that's a strong yes. You guys did good. Exactly. Yes, for sure. We're the intelligence of the body. We are from grade school. We learned that the human body is a self-healing and self-regulating organism. It's a physiological fact, right? But that there's a question for you then, is if it's a if our bodies are self-healing and self-regulating, then why are there so many people sick and struggling with sickness? All right? Do you ever kind of think about that sometimes? Like, we know it for sure that our bodies are self-healing, but then why do we have so many difficulties? So for an example, if I have a cut on my arm, automatically, innately, what does my body want to do without me even having to think about it? What does it want to do? It wants to heal, right? I mean, we're created and designed that way to heal and repair. But what if there's something lodged inside that cut, right? Like a deep splinter. You know, a splinter, it also wants to try to push that out of there and try to heal, because we're designed that way. But what if it's so lodged in there that it cannot do it? What could happen to that cut?
Infection.
It could get infected. Exactly. You guys are on the ball. So if it gets infected, that infection is not taken care of. That could get so bad it could get septic, right? Meaning it could actually start spreading through my body, through my bloodstream, and actually kill me from that cut. Did I lose the ability to heal and repair?
Nope.
Or was it just being interfered with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to understand, just because someone's body is breaking down and not healing, not repairing, their immune system is weak or compromised, whatever it is, we have to go back to the foundational principle and understand that truth, that our body's still self-healing and self-regulating, but there's things that can interfere with your body's ability to heal and repair the way it's designed and created. So if we understand that, then we can build on that foundation, right? So let's talk a little bit about the immune system. There's several different organs and parts of that are very important, okay? So just to kind of break down the main pieces of that puzzle that are really important for us is, you know, the thymus, the spleen, we have bone marrow, we have lymph nodes, tonsils, we've got the adenoids, the lymph vessels. So there's a lot of different parts, and if one of those is not doing well, that could start to compromise the immune system, right? So we want all these organs to be working optimally, but they also have to be working together. Right? A strategic plan working together to fight off anything that's trying to attack us. Would you agree that more now than ever that there seems to be more things coming against our body, that we need to be battle ready? Our bodies need to be battle ready, right? Yeah, a lot of shaking heads. So we need to understand what that's going to take. So the first thing that I want to make sure we address, which may be a little bit of a surprise, but that is how you handle stress, how you think, your perceptions. Right? How you think. So it's amazing how many people that are super fit, healthy, they take everything under the sun, they're doing everything right, it seems. But they could be so immune compromised and very, very sick all the time because of how they think. Yep. So how are you handling stress? In my opinion, in my lifetime, this is the most stressful time that it's ever been around in my lifetime, right? I mean, everywhere we turn, there's people dying and hurting, and then there's the politics and the tensions and the divisions and all the stuff. It's hard not to have a little stress, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
So how do we handle that? What are we to do with that? Because there's something important. When we're under all this stress, there's a stress response that triggers. Okay? So let's say it's financial stress. Let's say it's sickness or family members that are struggling with their health. It could be relational and marriage. It could be our kids, politics, you name it, or half all the stuff on our plate that we got to get done, or we don't have enough time. Whatever it is, that triggers a stress response. Okay, and this is really important to understand how the stress response occurs, because I want you to know how that starts to lower your immune system and starts to compromise your immune system and makes you more vulnerable, weaker. It starts removing the armor of our bulletproof vests, right? So we think about when we're under stress, visualize a tiger is running after you, then it kicks on this system, the sympathetic, which is your fight or flight response, okay? The fight or flight, in my opinion, if I was a tiger, I'm going to be flighting, not fighting, right? But the fight or flight, what it does is it sends everything where your blood pressure raises up, right? Your heart starts beating, heart rate increases, your muscle tone starts getting ready for that fight or flight because it's getting ready for a battle or whatever it needs to do to save your life, right? And when that happens, your nervous system, as it's telling the body to do this and how it responds, it has to prioritize. So it starts shutting other areas of the body down or diminishing how the focus on those areas, so that way it can increase maximally the fight or flight, this response, right? So as you probably could imagine, then all of a sudden it can increase fear, anxiety, your senses are up higher, but then your sensitivity, your blood sugar sensitivity goes down, your blood sugar starts to go up. And so you notice that they talk a lot about when you're under stress, all of a sudden you can have high blood pressure. Yeah, you can have more anxiety. You can have you can be more prone for diabetes and blood sugar issues. But also it starts affecting your cholesterol. It starts to affect your clotting factors. So there's more people that have strokes, heart disease, and so forth. That starts to go up. And also it starts to disrupt sleep, right? It starts to decrease your ability to sleep because it's ramped you up. Who wants to sleep when their body is trying to run from the tiger? Neurologically, your body doesn't need to be releasing serotonin because it's like, hey, I need to fight or flight. I don't need to sleep right now. I don't need to digest food right now. I need to fight or flight. So what happens is this world that we live in, unfortunately, because it's such a fast-paced world, most people are in this stress hormone response, and it's very sympathetic dominant, which means that our body is out of balance and all this stuff's going on. So what happens is it's burning us out, right? And we're not able to absorb the nutrients, even if you are eating good food or great supplements. Your body's not absorbing it because your body digestive system's not working optimally, and it deregulates your immune system. When your body is needing to fight off attacks from the outside, it doesn't need to be worrying about things that are attacking on the inside of the body at that time. So your immune system is at a much lower state when your stress response is higher. Plus, you add in there your body not absorbing the nutrients. Plus, you add in there your body's not sleeping like it's supposed to. You can start to understand that stress response is a major factor on people's immune system. Okay? We have patients all the time. I had a patient today talking about, I'd love to make the workshop, can't make it, but hey, I'm taking all the good stuff, right? She starts naming all the different supplements and things that she's taking, which is great. I love the fact that she's taking, we're going to talk about, it's really important to take those supplements to bridge the gap of what we're not getting in our body. But if your body is in if your mind is in a stressful state, all this stuff is going on. The thing is, whether the tiger is there or not, it's a perceived or an actual tiger, it's the same response. And most of the time, it's perceived and not actual. Okay, so what I mean by that is two people can be going through the same thing, but how you handle the stress. So let's just even preparing for this workshop, making sure I get all the slides in time, making sure we got all these little things, and managing different things at the office. It's little stuff that can start rising up, and I can feel my heart rate. I can feel the stress response starting to come. Like, I still have to get that. We still have to get that. Oh yeah, this, that, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a perfect opportunity for my immune system to go plummet. And then, as I'm talking about immune function and bulletproofing it can lower and get sick, right? But it's important to recognize for yourself when you start to have your stress response start to get kicked in. What are you doing to manage that, to re-regulate it, to get that to calm down? Otherwise, it can start festering and then start creating into fear and anxiety and depression and all kinds of path that you don't want to go in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So for me personally, I go back to the source of life and truth and health, and that's Jesus, right? His word, and start thinking about, okay, all right, it's usually an unmet expectation. So why am I getting worked up? Usually I had an expectation and or I'm thinking, is this going to get in? Is that going to get in? Or hey, if I'm worried about somebody's health, or what about this? What about that? But then we go back to the Creator and remember that He's created it all. He's protecting us all. And look at the provision and the provider and the protector. Then the peace that transcends all understanding is what helps me. So in a practical means is just understanding, knowing I have to go back and trust that He's got my back and that His ways are higher than my ways. I may not see an out for this situation, but I know He's got an out for me, right? There's things like that you personally, whatever that is for you, but that's for me that starts giving me peace and starts to calm my stress response, right? And it gets tested on a daily basis, right? We get tested on a daily basis. So we have to go back to those truths and realize and trust and have faith in those areas. That's why we have to capture those thoughts and focus on what's good, right? But that is the number one thing. So anytime if I ever feel like, oh man, I kind of feel like I'm getting a scratchy throat, or I'm getting, I just don't feel right, like my body's getting a little run down, the first thing I want to do is get adjusted. No, well, actually that too, but really the first thing I want to do is go, okay, Lord, what do I have on my plate right now that I feel like I've got to do right now, and what am I worried about that's not for 3 weeks and I'm worrying about it right now, or what am I worrying about that I don't even have control over, that I'm getting caught up in, because I have to take and remove those things from my plate, or otherwise I'm holding burdens that I'm not supposed to carry, things that I can't control that I'm not supposed to have, right? I need to be handing those at His feet. So that automatically is the first place we want to go on making sure our immune system, because you can take all the supplements in the world, be getting adjusted every day, getting all the best fitness and all the other things we're going to talk about, and if your mind and the stress levels and how you manage that is not where it needs to be, that's going to be making you more compromised and lower your immune system. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes. So, once you get your mind right and your thoughts in the right spot, we want to make sure we have the right fuels. Right? So this should be probably a review for most of you. There may be a couple things in here that you weren't aware of. We want to make sure you hit these and are aware of them, because they're very important. We need veggies, right? So the do's, lots of veggies. The fibers, the antioxidants, the vitamins, the minerals, all that is in there is critical for our overall health and our immune system and our future quality of life. Some fruits also very good, but we want to make sure to be careful with that, because the sugar in the fruit, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And then we want meats, poultry, fishes, things like that. We want to make sure they're free range or grass fed as much as you can, as much organic as you can, because of the toxins wear us down and clog us up and lower our immune system. Free range eggs, natural fats. We're going to go into more detail of that. Nuts and seeds, not peanuts. Unfortunately, even how I know how much peanuts taste so good. You got to transition into more cashew nuts or almonds, because the peanuts are pro-inflammatory and it's not good for your system. So we try to limit that, decrease that out of your system. And water. We need fluids. We need water, right? So the refined carbohydrates, your white rice and white pastas and breads and things like that, and moving more towards staying closer to your meats and your veggies and your fruits and your pretty much all that stuff. So, cereals, grains, we want to start to decrease, because those turn into what? Sugar. And we're going to talk about why sugar is so important and how that lowers our immune system. And then sweeteners, there's a lot of additives and chemicals and all that stuff. The bad vegetables, we're going to go into more detail of that whole category in just a second. Dairy products, soda, juice, alcohol, and sugar. So let's take a look at sugars real quick. It's amazing how many parents I'll see that are like, oh yeah, my child is getting run down, and they just don't know, but they're giving them a lot of orange juice, right? Because it's like, hey, they know they need vitamin C, so let's give them a lot of orange juice, but they're not aware that the orange juice has a lot of sugar, so it can be defeating the purpose sometimes. So it's like trying to get the vitamin C, but there's so much sugar that's blocking that. And then you have, a lot of times people have like the Pop-Tarts for breakfast or the sodas, and then you think about your coffees, right? The coffee that has a lot of additive dairies or sugars and chemicals and things in there, the sweeteners. Just to give an example, it is shown that when one can of soda completely demolishes your immune system for about 4 to 5 hours. So just to kind of have an idea, if you have one like once a day or every other day, whatever that is, hey, have a soda every once in a while, but be very careful and know that is lowering your function of your overall immune system. It's making it compromised at that time. And here's the reason is because all the stuff, these things that turn into sugar, like the grains and the pastas and the breads, and There's some nutrients with some of those things, right? But the more it's high in the glycemic index, the more it drops into glucose and all that sugar. It is nearly identical molecularly as vitamin C. So it's competing to get into the cell, it competes with vitamin C. So the more sugar you have, the more the vitamin C is not going to be able to get into your cell, which is needed for your immune system. Okay? So so here's the thing, it's amazing to me, sometimes people will be run down and sick, and they're like, oh, what do you want? Maybe some ice cream, maybe help you make you feel better. I'm thinking, oh, that may be all they want to eat right now, but it's going to probably just prolong your sickness, right? And sometimes people can get even more sick from what they're eating on the recovery of when they're sick. So just be aware that sugar is a no-no, and you want to avoid that, especially when you're sick. Or if you feel like you're around sick people, if you're under more stress, you already know you have one notch against you. That's not the time where most people, they stress eat, right? We're under more stress. I want some sugar or some other things because and that's where people start going downhill really quick. So if we know how this works and we know, okay, I'm under a lot of stress, I'm working on that, I'm trying to release a lot of those and manage my stress, this is not the time to have Andes, even though that's like my favorite, right? So I'm like, oh, all right, I can hold off and I can wait. I want to make sure to do my things, make sure my immune system is good to go, stress levels go down so I can not get sick. I'd rather, my dad always told me it's a lot easier to stay out of trouble than to get out of trouble, right? I almost followed it most of the time. But so bad fats with good fats. Let's talk about that for a second. When we talk about bad fats, what are we really talking about? Hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated oils, your things like cottonseed oil, soybean oil, your trans fats, your margarines, your synthetic butters, your rancid vegetable oils like your corn oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, which seem very, very confusing. It's like vegetable oil. It sounds very healthy, right? But unfortunately, it's not. These are all made up from typically corn and omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-6 increases inflammation, and inflammation, unfortunately, drives down immune function and causes all kinds of other problems. So you want to try to replace those with more of your better fats, right? So instead of cooking with your coconut oil, instead of cooking with your canola oil, cook with your coconut oil. Or your avocado oil. Now, extra virgin olive oil is really good too. You just want to make sure not to cook with that with the high heats, or else it denatures it and actually makes it harmful for you. So those are really good with dressings and things like that. But the coconut and the avocado oil, you can cook on higher heats with your foods. And then you've got your raw nuts and seeds, and of course, why do we say grass-fed beef and animals? Because most things that are farm raised and are corn fed, right? Grain and corn fed, things like that. Well, grains and corns and feds, things like that, are actually drive up omega-6, increase inflammation. So we want it eating green stuff, the grass, which it helps increase omega-3. So then the fats from some of these meats can have benefits to you, right? It's a whole different, that's why unfortunately it's more expensive in the grocery store, but you have to decide on what you're paying for when it comes to your overall health. And then fish has the omega-3s, that's why there's fish oil, which is really helpful, and we're going to recommend to supplement that because there's such a ratio imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3 in our bodies from our society and our natural diets that we need to be fortifying on a regular daily basis of your omega-3s to feed your brain and your nervous system and keep inflammation down in your body. So it helps decrease not only keeping your immune system stronger, but also decreasing the chance from heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and things like that goes down that path. So just in a quick summary of those two things, your bad fats, your sugars weaken the immune system. The refined sugars, they block the receptors for the vitamin C, right? And the bad fats, we talked about that. All those things, what they do is it creates inflammation around the cell membrane where you can't get the good stuff into the cells and you can't get the bad stuff out. So those bad fats and all that we're talking about, it starts to harden the cell and it starts to create where you can't get the good nutrients into the cell in the first place. And then as the cell is being used, it's like a fire, right? Like if I burn wood in my fireplace, what's left over? Ashes. But we need something that's going to keep piling up. And if we don't have something to we got to get this out of the cell, or else it causes all kinds of damage and free radicals, and not just lower immune system, but also lower immune system enough for cancer and other things start coming down the line. So these sugars and bad fats cause that inflammation and all that hardening around the cells, and then this process is not able to work the way it's supposed to. So you have that sludge or the waste that's stuck inside the cell, causing lots of problems for future health and immune function. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what are we doing when our kids get sick and we're in this situation and we've been doing the fast food and everything else? Unfortunately, we turn to a lot of these products. I just want to mention it. We don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but you need to know from the American Academy of Pediatrics, over-the-counter cough and cold medicines should not be given to infants and children younger than 2 years because of the risk of life-threatening side effects. Okay? And the AAP also points to the fact that several studies show cold and cough products don't work in children younger than 6 and can have potentially serious side effects. So from the American Academy of Pediatrics. And also, over-the-counter cold and flu remedies have a tendency to have this phenylalanine propylalanine that can cause strokes, seizures, and brain bleeding. And so there's alternative ways. And just one more thing when it comes to symptoms, we got to remember when we have the coughing, when we have the sneezes, when we have the fevers, that is part of your body's trying to heal and repair, right? The fever is burning off the infection that's trying to come against it, right? Those coughing and sneezing is trying to get rid of impurities and things that are trying to in there. So it's not fun, but I'm just telling you that when we try to suppress our body's natural ability to try to heal and repair, it can start having consequences. And this is not against medication and medicine and all kinds of things like that, but there's times and places for that. But unfortunately, most people are misguided and they're using things way too much and too often. And one example of that is antibiotics, right? Just a quick note on the antibiotic dilemma. 90% of times is useless from the Journal of, the U.S. Center of Disease Control, okay? And it talks about destroys the immune system, promoting cancerous cell growth, right? It wipes out our good bacteria, lowering our overall immune function. From here's another journal, taking antibiotics in the first year of life quadruples a child's risk of developing asthma, allergies, and hay fever, okay? There's multiple studies on this stuff, but just to kind of give you a couple. And here's from the New England Journal of Medicine, basically saying if they take an antibiotic for ear infections, then they're 7 to 10 times more likely to have recurring ear infections. There's a reason why they went from antibiotic for everything, and then it's like, okay, now they have a prescription, the WASP, right? Wait and see prescription, because they're noticing more and more all this research is coming out. Finally, they're turning it around a little bit. But then you also see that there's antibiotic-resistant bacteria overusing this, and then now we have these people, unfortunately, that have low immune system, compromised immune systems that weren't able to fight off the bacteria infection on its own because an antibiotic came and fought off for them. So it's weakened, and then the bacteria are advancing and adapting, and then it's even harder and harder for these people to adapt. Unfortunately, we're having the same thing happening right now with COVID and the vaccines and everything else. Just the first round, it seems to help, and now those vaccines and the boosters are not helping because the variants, it's not touching it, because we're not addressing the underlying cause of the problem, and that is strengthening our immune system, right? Going back to the foundation of our body, how we're created, are we doing the things, or are we looking for a magic pill? So these things, sometimes it's like the magic pill to try to help solve our problem, rather than going to, hey, maybe I need to change something in my life. Maybe I'm not making good choices. Or maybe I need to educate myself on these areas to better take care of myself, right? And so we just need to make sure we're aware of what's going on with some of these things. So that's where we have different supplements that can help fortify and strengthen the immune system. Because here's the thing, when it comes to supplements, it's not a recommendation. It's a necessity for you to have supplementation. It's not a necessity for you to take our supplements, but it's a necessity if you want to bulletproof your immune system to be taking really good supplements. And the reason I say that is the ground nowadays that all the food, we want to try to get, if you have the very perfect diet and you're eating as clean as possible, all organic, freshly grown, locally grown, fresh fruits, vegetables, all that we talked about, the grass-fed, you still are not getting enough vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, unfortunately, because the ground that we live in and they're pulling the food from is not as nutrient dense as it used to be 5, 10, 20, 50 years ago. So supplementation is to help bridge the gap. Now here's the thing, what we'll see a lot of people is like, I take all these supplements, but I eat like this crud, right? And it's not to replace that, otherwise it's not going to help you either, right? Well, yeah, it'll help. But you have this big weak spot, a big open door over the way we're eating. So, but if you're eating as clean as you can, keep working on those things, and you're taking the right supplements to help bridge the gap, your odds of having a more fortified immune system to protect you goes up greatly. Okay? And that's why when I say that there's a lot of steps that people are really not taking is because, number one, we forget that our thoughts, how much that impacts our immune system. And we need to go there first. And number two, when we're feeding the fuel, a lot of times we'll go to the supplements or we'll go to the food, and really we need both. And some of the key nutrients, I mean, we could spend a whole nother workshop on nutrition alone and the supplements, right? But I just want to give you a couple key things that happen. So there's a foundational thing on a regular basis that we recommend, and that is a whole food nutritional vitamin, mineral, and supplement, right? It can be a capsule, it can be a shake. My family, we've been doing the shake up here, the Mediclear SGS, for several years. It's been the most popular and the most beneficial to our patients over the, I don't even know how many years. Because it is so nutrient dense and it's very clean, and it has the quality of it, the protein, but it's got your vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. It even has things like grapeseed extracts and the green tea and the curcumin, which is like helps decrease inflammation. And then the SGS helps to flush the liver, which flushing toxins, turning them from fat soluble to water soluble, to then help strengthen immune function, right? There's a lot of these things that help strengthen immune function and your overall health, quality of life. It's a foundational piece that's really helpful, okay? The other thing is to make sure you're supplementing with omega-3 fatty acids, okay? So you'll note up here, omega-3 fatty acids and a probiotic. A lot of times if you're not getting a prebiotic as well, getting the prebiotic, but those are necessary. We need that gut flora. If your stomach and gut issues and you don't have a good flora, there's an immune and gut relationship that completely drives your immune system and makes you very susceptible. So you want to strengthen that gut. I don't know if you're aware, but you have more bacteria in your digestive system, in your body, than you have cells in your body. So we want to make sure we have more good bacteria than bad bacteria. Otherwise, it can start taking over our body in multiple ways, right? It's like in weakening our digestive and our immune systems and things like that. So these are like foundational, right? And then during fall, winter, if you feel like you're getting run down, you want to add in, make sure you're adding in some extra D3, your C, your zinc, quercetin, your NAC. The NAC is the precursor to glutathione, which is your master kind of like antioxidant. But these are foundational pieces, and this orthoimmune has all those in one, to where I like to not have to take a lot of stuff. Over the years, I've taken handfuls of my kids' my life, and then when we got to a shake, it's like, wow, this is nice. I can get it all in one pack where I don't have to take as many things. I enjoy that. I like the way it digests in my body. And if you want, we have a video that kind of goes through our family, how we make our shakes and all those different things. Just let us know if you're, we can get your email, or we can send it to you, whatever. Text, or your phone number, we can just text it to you. So, but anyway, so there's different ways to do that. You can get individually. So we have, or you can get these individually at the store. And we're actually going to be giving away one of those packs today for whoever's the lucky winner in the raffle of your immune system support pack individually, and what that looks like, or you can get it all in kind of one supplement. But whatever you do, these are some foundational pieces. Oh, just one more thing on that is this was formulated specifically after the research that had been done on COVID to help make sure to strengthen and fortify ourselves against what the COVID and the strains and the variants and things like that, to help with that specifically as well. So just with some of the respiratory and congestion and stuff like that that can affect us. So, but take whatever supplement you want or company that you want. Just be aware. There's like from the New York Times, it had a study comparing Target, Walmart, Walgreens, and GNC on what kind of looking at their actual supplements, and if they had in there what it said. Guess what they found? It was not good results. Many of them didn't have the right kind of dosages. Many of them had all kinds of toxins in there. Many of them some of the products didn't even have 1 ounce of what they said it had in there, like rice powder instead. So the reason I say that is we have to be very careful. You got to make sure there's third-party testing, because there's no good regulation when it comes to the supplementation. So you just want to be careful of your sources and where you're getting it from. Okay. So, you guys hanging in there?
Yes.
Doing all right? Sometimes I get a little too excited. I might go too fast. Just raise your hand and tell me to repeat or whatever, and we'll keep on rolling though. So, the next key thing, once you got your mind right, you got the proper fuel going in your body, fitness, exercise, again, required. The reason I say that, you're going to find out and you'll understand to a deeper level of why that is so required if you want to be optimal healthy. You don't have to do any of this, but if you want to have a bulletproof your immune system, it's required, right? Number one, guess what? It decreases your stress response. We talked about how most people are sympathetic driven, the fight or flight's going on, the stress response. When we exercise, it actually kicks that hormonal system off, like that just went on, and then it turns on the endorphins. All right, man, that's like perfect time, great. The endorphins, the high on life, to help get your body more relaxed. It helps your body kick back into where it can start digesting, right? Start sleeping. It's amazing how much better you sleep when you exercise during the day. My son experienced that a lot during college when he went off, because he was in a bad routine, staying up later, and then he was having a hard time waking up early for his class, and then he wasn't exercising. And then, so before long, he's like, I can't go to sleep because he was laying around in his dorm room and hanging out there too much. He wasn't getting his physical exercise. As soon as he forced himself to go, even though he's tired, right? To get back into an exercise routine, automatically he sleeps deeper at night, then he wakes up with more energy, and he starts going in a cycle in the right direction, right? So they all work together, but one key element is it decreases the stress response, which ultimately upregulates immune function right from there, okay? And with all the other benefits that can come along with that. Decreases cellular inflammation, burning up the sugars and the inflammation in and around a lot of those cells. It's amazing how much that can decrease inflammation in and around your body and in a lot of the toxins. And then, of course, increasing oxygen circulation. So you think about as you're exercising, we have the heart that's pumping and pumping all those nutrients, those antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals, and oxygen to your cells, your joints, your muscles, your brain, right? We need the brain to focus. But the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is critical, right? The lymphatic system, we talked about, that's one of the pieces of the puzzle when it comes to the immune system. And I don't know if you're aware, but the lymphatic system, we have 2 to 3 times more lymphatic fluid in our body than we have blood. So that lymphatic system is what takes away the sludge, right? The waste from those cells. As your body is fighting off and destroying all those impure cells and breaking down and all that stuff that's happening, it needs to take those toxins and out of the body. Otherwise, if it's stored in there, it can cause all kinds of damage, right? Cause more inflammation, increased cancer, and all the other stuff. Your lymph system is one of the most critical elements of flushing out. It's like we want the good in, the parts pumping all the good stuff into the cell, but then we need to get it out of the cell and into the lymph system, so that it takes from the lymph system out through our detoxifying organs and out of our body, right? So again, when we burn wood in the fireplace, what's left over? Those ashes, well, there's stuff left over with you burning energy in your cells, right? That waste and that sludge needs to be get rid of. But here's the question I have for you. What is the organ that pumps the lymphatic system to make sure to get all that out of it? Trick question. There is not a organ that pumps it out. Oh yeah, where's my shirts? Okay, never mind. We'll figure it out. So anyway, I was gonna. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, trick question is there isn't an organ that pumps the lymphatic system. The only way your lymphatic system can be flushed is through movement of your muscles. Your muscles, your lymph vessels run throughout your muscles, and through the movement and contraction and relaxation of your muscles is actually what pumps the lymphatic out and gets rid of the crud. So you think about in the woods, in a pond, that there's all kinds of stuff growing on there. We don't want all that stuff growing in us, right? That cesspool of in around, if it's not getting pumped away from our cells bathing in the waste and the sludge that's left over, where it needs to get out of our body. And we wonder why we can get toxic, right? And then we can get brain fog, and when we can get have low energy, we can't sleep at night, we can increase inflammatory conditions in our body, it can increase heart disease and diabetes and cancer. Does that make sense? Meaning, like, exercise and the proper movement. Movement is life. You've probably heard that a million times. Movement is life. Movement is life. One of the best ways to change your emotion is put your body in motion. That's why it automatically shifts from the stress response to the endorphins, a positive response. It starts flushing your system out, removing those toxins out of your body so they can be much cleaner and lighter and be ready to fight off anything that's attacking it. Otherwise, it's weighted down, and then you have all this inflammation. It's distracting immune system that's actually trying to put out all the fires of all the inflammation in around our cells that is trying to take us out. So exercise. Hopefully, you understand at a deeper level of why exercise is so critical. We have in this room right here, we have fitness classes, right? You guys can take a part of. It's growing. More and more people are starting to take advantage of that, and just know that it's first time free, right? So if you want to check out a class, check it out. We have some stretching classes. We have Carl doing some fitness classes. Myself and Dr. Matt do some classes, and then also we have personal training. We've got some of you in here that's taking advantage of Carl, and it's done amazing of really helping with people one-on-one with their specific situation, whether it's rehab or toning up or just strengthening overall body. Whatever it is, whether it's here somewhere, right? Get your body moving, going through the full ranges of motion. Remember, when you get that heart rate up, pumping, it pushes that oxygen and nutrients to those deep places that don't get enough oxygen and nutrients, like our brain and these deep parts of our joints and our muscles, and then we want to flush that out, stretching it. Movement is life. You need it. You need it. You need it daily. So here, one more example. I'll try to move on from that. But a lot of people. There's people that will have a job, like they're walking miles every day for their job, right? They're walking, and they're on their feet. They're like, man, I'm on my feet all day. I get lots and lots of exercise, and I'm telling them, you need to go exercise. And they're like, you didn't hear me. I mean, I get like 10 miles a day in, but they got all stiffness in their back and their legs and everything else because their movement is so limited amount of movement. They're using contracting their muscles, being on their feet. But it just starts building up lactic acid and building up stiffness and lactic acid. And what we need is for their body to go take their body through some full ranges of motion and movement to pump that out of there. And it's amazing. We'll be adjusting somebody and they're getting their lower back balance out. Like, man, my back is still just killing me. And we're saying, I'm telling you, you gotta go move. You're on your feet all day. It's creating all this stiffness and lactic acid. And it's amazing how when they start getting their body moving and stretching, they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. Amazing. It's like, so we need to move. We also added this thing called the InBody to look at not only your body composition that we do in our office now, it looks at the muscle mass and the body fat and all that, but the key thing is most important right now, what we're talking about is the visceral fat. The visceral fat is the most dangerous fat. It's in and around all the organs, and it's the most detrimental to your overall health. And this can be, you look at somebody and you can look, oh man, they're really skinny, but they could have high levels of visceral fat because of what we were talking about, of the toxins in their body and causing all kinds of health problems, and wondering why they're fatigued or having health issues. We got to lower those visceral fat numbers down to help with everything else we're talking about, the core life and immune system. Okay? So here we are. We're thinking right now, right? We got a good positive attitude. We're handling stress well. We're feeding the body fuel what it needs. We're starting to get the body moving, and now we're gonna be able to rest much better. We're gonna be able to sleep much better. Sleep is critical when it comes to your immune system. You want to have a good 6-8 hours for an adult. Probably 8 to 10 for kids. But when you're sick, you want to be sleeping as much as you can, at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and with naps, right? You want to rest because your body is going to be able to heal and repair better during those times of sleep. You're going to help your immune system do its job if you're resting and sleeping, okay? But remember, if you're all stressed out, your body doesn't want to sleep. It doesn't want to go into healing and repair mode because it's like two different systems that are trying to fight against each other. When you're running away from the tiger, whether it's perceived or not, there's no reason to repair and heal at this time, right? So, this e-fast means that try to take 30 to 60 minutes away from technology, your TV, your iPads, your iPhones before you go to sleep. It has been proven to show you have a deeper sleep and better falling asleep faster. And also you want to have a nice cool room, as dark as you can, hardly any noise. If you can have your devices not near your head and as well, is also good to get better quality of sleep. Moving from the fitness side of things, we got to go to function. And there's the first thing we need to talk about is most people base their health on how they what? Yeah. How they feel. Yeah. Right, does that work real well? If we look at how does diabetes feel like on the early stages? Right? What does heart disease feel like on the early stages? What does cancer feel like on the early stages? By the time someone feels cancer, unfortunately, sometimes it's too late, right? Same thing with heart disease, heart attacks, strokes. We can just go on and on. Do you agree we do not want to base our health on how we feel?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So we need to look at how the body is actually functioning, and when we're looking at our health, we need to have ways to be able to measure that. And the central nervous system, I was going to ask a question, I cheated you. So anyway, I was going to ask, what's the system that controls all other systems? What's the system? You guys are amazing. Yeah, because what happens is a lot of times people will think, well, the immune system is what protects us, right? But what's the system that controls the immune system is that central nervous system. So I'm flipping this around. The central nervous system is the master controller system of the body, not only controlling your immune system, but your digestive, your pulmonary, cardiovascular, all your systems are controlled and coordinated by this system. Don't you think it's pretty important to make sure this system's working right? Mm-hmm. We talked about those different organs, the thymus, the adrenal, the adenoids, and the lymph, and all that stuff, right, of the immune system. But what controls all that? Well, it's your nervous system. Your nervous system is what's regulating whether the tiger's running from you or not, whether to respond, whether it's cold or hot, how to respond to the food. Whatever's going on, it's the nervous system that's telling your body what to do and how to do it. So you could have a perfectly functioning immune system, but an imperfect nervous system that doesn't allow the immune system to be able to do its job. Does that make sense? So, the quality of your healing is directly proportional to the functional capability of your what? Nervous system. The nervous system to be able to send and receive messages. Sending and receiving messages, meaning our senses, we're taking in the information, communicating it to our brain's telling our body how to respond properly. Do I need to give goosebumps? Do I need to sweat? Do I need to digest this food right now? Do I need to increase my heart rate and get ready to run from this tiger? It's telling you this feedback loop system that's going on. This is critical to understand when it comes to your nervous system, is that this master system. But there is armor that protects this nervous system, and it's your spine, right? Your spine, your skull is protecting your brain, your spinal cord that runs down the middle. That's why they call it central. It's right down in the center of your body. And this system protects how your body works, right? And if you have a subluxation where the spine has shifted from different stress, falls, postures, bad habits, whatever's going on in your life, it can cause an interference, a blockage, not allowing the messages to get through. So all of a sudden the sending and receiving doesn't work as well. It's kind of like on my phone, if I have 1 bar of signal strength. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want my immune system working on 1 bar of signal strength. I want full bars to be bulletproof. I want full bars of signal strength. I don't want anything interfering with this communication. But unfortunately, just life and stress, this broken world we live in, creates subluxations and interferences that starts to interfere, starts to weaken, making us more compromised in our immune system. That's where it's amazing how many people, you probably know and have heard of multiple people that they exercise, they eat really good, they look super healthy. Why did all of a sudden they get COVID and die? Right? Or it doesn't even have to be COVID. Anything. There's multiple people. Why did they all of a sudden have a heart attack? Right? I mean, we have to answer this question. The sudden cardiac arrest, these we know it's immune compromised people that are having a hard time with COVID or any other virus or bacteria, whatever's going on. We need to make sure to be fortified and have the bulletproof. We need to make sure all the areas are working the way they're supposed to. All the doors are closed, and nothing, so that way no invaders, nothing can come against us. The subluxation causes that nerve interference, and the body interferes with the body's innate ability to heal, repair, recover, causing a lowered immune function. Okay, and we can just go on to the multiple studies from peer-reviewed journals that talk about your immune system and how it affects, your autonomic nervous system and how that affects your overall immune system, right? And then you can go on to more studies that talk about how chiropractic care and the adjustments all of a sudden increase immune function. Why would that be? Well, because if we adjust and restore the proper function in the spine, guess what? It's like taking the splinter out, like we were talking about, that interference, so the body can then start to heal and repair. All of a sudden our Wi-Fi can start to increase. And there's a reason we were talking about this earlier in our meeting as a staff today, talking about, there's studies that talk about blood pressure. Now, chiropractic lowers blood pressure, right? But then there's especially the upper cervical because of where it's located and everything else, but adjustments up here, there's multiple studies that show that it decreases blood pressure. But then there's also studies that show that it actually increases blood pressure. And because what it's doing is, if someone has low blood pressure, it increases it. If somebody has high blood pressure, it decreases it. Because it's not, we're not treating low blood pressure or high blood pressure. We're not treating a low immune function. It's just restoring the proper function so it can regulate and harmonize the way it's supposed to, right? Because it's the system that controls everything, and if that system's not working right, all of a sudden has issues. Same thing with immune function. That's where I want to try to avoid saying, I'll find myself saying boost the immune system, but there's people that have allergies that have an overactive immune system, right? Or autoimmune disorders. And the adjustment has shown to help that because it helps to downregulate what it needs to. It's not an adjustment treating that condition. It's helping the nervous system that controls the immune system be able to do what it's supposed to instead of being interfered with. Does that make sense? So, another study with chiropractic in your immune system, this one here from Dr. Ronald Perot from New York University Cancer Research Center, talking about, they did studied on patients with cancer, patients without cancer, patients that are under chiropractic care, people that were not under chiropractic care, looking at their overall immune system, and the ones that were under chiropractic care 5 years or longer had an average strength, a more stronger immune system, of 300% stronger immune system on the average. And why would that be? Well, it only makes sense. Stress of life and everything else beats down our body and it starts to cause interference, and most people are unaware of how that starts to interfere with our nervous system and how the nervous system impacts our immune system, right? I had a patient just today, just on the table, as a younger girl, and I asked her, well, what's the biggest benefit you've had since starting here? And she said, I don't get sick anymore. And I thought, I'll have to mention that tonight at the workshop. We have multiple studies and case studies in our office that you can look at the packet of multiple people that have constant improvements, and we're not treating those conditions. We're not treating immune function, right? What we're doing is removing interferences from the nervous system so it can function at its best, so it can communicate and heal and repair as it needs to, adapt to whatever stresses are coming its way, right? We can't predict what it needs, right? All we can do is remove and get out of the way so the body can do what it's created and designed to do. Here's a study, University of Colorado. The weight of a dime put on the nerve root reduces nerve impulses by 50% in just 3 minutes. So if you think about the weight of a dime put on the root of a nerve, decreases its impulses through that nerve by 50% in 3 minutes. So it's important to start to understand, well, how do I know if I have it? Because most people, they base their health on how they what? Feel, and that's where we get into trouble, and we think that I'm good to go, and all of a sudden they wake up and they have this excruciating pain. Nothing else will get rid of it, and then they go in and finally go to a chiropractor. But most of you guys already know why we see so many babies and kids and families is because they're like, aha, I understand. I want to get my family in and preventive and proactive, kind of like brushing our teeth. Hopefully you guys don't wait for your teeth to fall out to start brushing them, right? or oh, my teeth are starting to hurt, I better start brushing my teeth. No, you're brushing them regularly to keep them healthy and strong. What are you doing for the bones of your spine? It's protecting your nervous system, which controls everything in your body, right? Immune system included. So, well, how do we even know if we have a subluxation? Of course, we need to check out the spine. We do motion static palpation, evaluate that, posture, x-rays, different scanning systems. The main thing is we don't guess, right? Everything based in our office, we want to evaluate, look at how your body's actually functioning versus how it feels. We want you to feel the very best possible, but to do that, we need to make sure how the foundation and how things are working and functioning first. And we need to be able to regulate that over time. People go through ups and downs in their lives, and that's the beauty of our office, to be able to help people get through those to keep them going in the trajectory of their life and their health. So there's changes ahead that you need to be thinking about for yourself. Hopefully the Lord has been in your own spirit, kind of like, I really need to start doing this, or I need to stop doing this. So here's some things to think about when we're stopping. We've reviewed it a few times. Is stress causing me to be immune compromised? Do I need to start working on how I manage stress? Is that my weakest link? For you thinking about that, what do you think? Everybody's going through different situations, and I'll guarantee you we all are going through some kind of stress, because we are all broken and we're in a broken world. So it's there, but how are we managing that? What are we doing for that? Bad fuel, right? Try to remove the bad fuel, improving that. And that's a gradual process, time over. Our office, nobody's perfect in here except for Dr. Matt. He's the only one that has this perfect diet of removing bad fuel. So remove the sugars from the bad fats, right? Because that increases that inflammation. And then not enough fitness. Hopefully you have a better, deeper understanding of how vital it is to move. And it doesn't have to be extreme. If you need guidance, we can help. But take your body through regular movements, and I guarantee it's going to help improve your immune function and quality of life and the trajectory of where you want to go. And lack of nerve function. If you haven't gotten your spine checked, you're going to have that opportunity to be able to get checked. So what do we do? Another couple nuggets is, if we're already sick, we are now, we're down, we're feeling cruddy, we're already sick, we don't want to exercise. Okay, I want to make sure, because you need that energy and those resources to be able to kill off the infection. If you feel like you're getting run down, hey, go for a little walk, get some movement, but don't go exercise extremely, because it's going to wipe your systems out and all that energy that it was going to need to fight off whatever's going on, and you can tank faster. So if you are in the middle of being sick, be careful on how much you exercise. Now, I'm definitely a fan of getting some movement, because as we know with the lymphatic system, we were talking about that, and just laying around constantly all day is not good either. But what we're talking about is not going and really hitting it hard and trying to burn it out. So, but does that make sense? We want to rest, allow your body to heal and repair. And what happens to some people is they start getting on the mend, and they're like, oh man, I haven't been able to work out this week because I was sick. And so like, okay, I'm starting to feel better. On Monday, they hit it hard again, and then they tank back and they relapse because they weren't ready to do that. So be careful. Hey, start working out again, but just go nice and easy. Listen to your body. Don't do more than what your body can handle at that time. Sleep as much as possible. We talked about that. We've got to get the rest, or the healing in there. Get the extra adjustments. Yes. When you're under more stress, being sick, you're under more stress. Your body is weaker. We want to increase immune function. So just like me, when I was talking about, the first thing I want to do is start thinking, okay, Lord, what am I doing? How do I need to fix my brain in here to start, because I'm stressed right now. Help me to figure out how do I need to think differently about all this stuff, right? But then I'm going to also, okay, I need to get on the table, I need to get it adjusted to make sure to clear that out and restore function, because it's rebooting my nervous system. It's realigning. Like a computer, when that computer is jammed up, which I've had many a times, I've got way too many things, I don't know why I don't shut them down. I feel like I'm going to keep going to them over and over and over, but I get all these things pulled up where eventually like nothing will work. Like this. So I call Cisco, this won't work. And like, we got too many programs pulled up, it won't work. So it's froze. So what do you call it when we have to shut it down?
It's a power cycle.
Power cycle. He's got a professional power cycle. It's like, so get adjusted or get your power cycle done, right? Meaning like my answer to all is to turn the power off and turn it back on, and all of a sudden it like starts to refresh and it does what it's doing, and also now I can move things around and delete things I need to, right? Your body can get so jammed up from all the stresses that you're going through. When you get adjusted, it's like doing a power cycle. It literally helps kick on the parasympathetic. It shuts down the stress hormones, helps the immune system to be upregulated so it can balance and do what it needs to. And that's where we have multiple patients and cases that talk about that on a constant basis. So limit and avoid stressful situations. Think about where you're at. If you're kind of getting run down or whatever's going on, then like why go and put yourself in that situation? You may have to say, you know what? I would rather be preventive right now than have to keep pushing myself and then have to take a week off. Right? Mm-hmm. I've been very thankful that ever since I've ever opened up over 20 years ago, I believe I've never had to miss a day from work and from being sick. So like, it's just all about trying to head it off before it gets too bad, right? Listening to your body and those warning signals before it gets to that point. Limit and avoid, so no sugar and drink water, right? Decreasing those sugars, especially when you're in the middle of fighting stuff off, and drinking a lot of water to flush things out, right? Keep flushing. Simple nutrient-dense foods, broth and soups, vegetable-based smoothies, supplementation, we talked about that. Give your body time and to seek the Lord's peace, perspective, provision, and protection. Really rest in that. Turn to that to give you the peace that transcends all understanding. We know where the ultimate healing comes from.
And borrow somebody's dog.
And borrow someone's dog, right? Yes, that can actually be very healing and has a lot of good studies with that. So hopefully, through this workshop, you have gained some insight, and hopefully you found in your own house of health, like what are your open doors? What needs to be shut? What do you need to work on? What locks and bolts do you need to be put on your doors to help keep them shut? To help bulletproof your immune system to be stronger, so that way you can have a much healthier 2022. Yes. Who's all ready for a healthier 2022? Oh. Yeah.